Hello everybody, welcome to the HoopsCast. I am your host Jacob, aka Rusty Buckets, joined by my co-host Muhammad, aka Mojo99. Say what's up, Mojo.
What's going on, man? I'm back once again.
So today we have a very special guest. We have the weirdest NBA YouTuber and the hardest man to get in touch with in the world, Emio, aka the NBA Storyteller. What's up, Emio?
What's up? I'm here. I made it. It's part of the persona, being unreachable.
Finally, coach.
Yeah.
You got it.
That's a great excuse. Anyway, so today we're just gonna kind of interview Emio, and I guess down the line. So I think what our plan is with guests on this podcast is we're gonna do the first time an interview, and the second time we just kind of have a basketball conversation. So later down the line we can do that, but today is the interview. Me and Mojo both have prepared some questions to ask Emio, and then we're just gonna, fire those off. Mojo, you can start with your first one.
All right, I'm gonna start off with my first question. So, Mr. Emio or Storyteller, so I've been watching your channel for like maybe a year, 2 years now. I'm just gonna say 2 years just to add in those cool points. So. Like, I watch just about every single video that you put out, and to my memory at least, I have never ever in my life have heard you ever say or mention LeBron James' name on your channel. Why is that?
Wow. For real?
I swear to God, I never heard you say his name in my life.
I think I've seen you show photos of him and vaguely talk about things, but not actually said his name.
Yeah, it's just like yeah, like he's like a 55 overall 2K generic. Like, what's up, man?
That's remarkable. Somebody said something the other day about they said some other generalization about the channel, and I didn't realize it either. That's news to me. I know I've talked about him, I've referenced him, but I've never made a video about the guy.
Yeah, no video. I swear, even if you did reference him, it's not for longer than 30 seconds because I cannot remember anything.
Okay, so here's what I think. I think that I don't have a fully formed opinion of LeBron. And I think it's also the reason I don't think I'm ever going to get around to doing a part 3 of the Kawhi Leonard series until 2032, because it's not done yet. There's more. There's just too much more to process. I think maybe it's because he just kind of feels like filler to me. He never really feels like a main. I don't know. Something about him just doesn't feel like a main character. He feels like somebody who's just filling the conversation. I never want to land on him as a conversation. I don't want to. It's just like a bridge to get to other people, more interesting, fully formed kind of concepts. So, I mean, whether that's Derrick Rose or Steph Curry, but LeBron James just feels it's kind of his game to me too. Like I don't even know how to describe his game. It's just kind of there, and I don't want to focus on it. All right. I'll have more to say about that later, but I got to think about that because you just really blew my mind about my own channel. So, all right, let's keep it going.
I guess you could say there's nothing that revolutionary about how he plays.
Yes, I think that's it. There's one thing that's just particularly revolutionary or special. It's obviously that he can do everything, right? So that makes him great, I guess. I don't know. It's kind of boring. It really is. I mean, I've watched the guy for years.
Mojo's going to get triggered.
It's kind of boring watching him. So if it's boring to me, I have no reason to talk about it. I've talked more about him off court. And I think it's usually around, I mentioned, I did a thing about Michael Jordan. I did one thing about Michael Jordan. It was
Yeah, only one. He's only mentioned once on the channel.
Some interview he did after his game-winning shot against Cleveland, and he just seemed very candid. in that particular moment. He was talking about, the newspaper writers and how, he read the paper before the game and, you know, they should see this now or whatever. But then I was just comparing it to how, at least in his early years, LeBron always seemed he was like a soundbite machine or like a cliche machine. I'm sorry. Everything he said seemed like he had been run through some sort of cliche bot, but you know, he put his own little spin on it, and in some way, through these typical basketball cliches, he still seemed genuine. It seemed like his honest opinion and his honest emotions. He wasn't being fake, but he just didn't know how to communicate in a way other than basketball cliches. And I think that's the most in depth I've gone on LeBron James. Because
what's weird about LeBron is that he's so like clean cut while also being like so controversial and talked about. Okay. So my question was, why are you so weird? Like why do you, because I think anyone that listened to what you just said about LeBron can tell that you have a very different perspective on basketball.
Okay, so maybe it's because I don't know, maybe I'm not really a basketball fan. I don't know. Maybe something about it. Like I watch a lot of people really digging into the details and the specifics and draft mock-ups and all these particular things, and I look at it and I just say I can't see myself getting interested in that side of it. So I like watching the people. I mean, obviously, if I watch a game, I get caught up in it just as much as anybody else. But when they're not playing and I'm not watching an actual game, I don't think of it necessarily about the numbers or the game. And I try to think of it as just the people. Like there's just a bunch of guys playing basketball, right? And then they go home and then they're just people. So the stuff I think about as a human being and the way I operate through the world, these people are doing the same thing, right? So I process it in that type of way, as opposed to, I don't know, people really box professional athletes in as machines, their output, how they perform. But there's just a lot more to it that interests me. And when I started thinking about it, it's easier to relate to that stuff. And then one day I just figured I should make videos about it. And it kind of, it worked. And it's an outlet for me because, I mean, honestly, if anybody's seen more than 4 of my videos, I really just talk about 5 different things over and over and over again. I don't know what those 5 things are, but I always feel like I'm just saying the same things in a different way. But I feel this need to get these concepts out, and I can get more specific if I just gotta give me a second here. But that was weird. But that's kind of what it is that I don't want to. I don't want to think of it as just the output of these people in their professional sport, but tortured human beings trying to accomplish something that they'll never accomplish.
Okay, well, that makes sense on your perspective of like the players and the game, but okay, so your Twitter is weird as hell, and your videos have like a very unique style, and you go for some very bizarre imagery at times. So what's the deal with that? Like randomly there will be like an octopus with like a human leg or some shit.
Oh, yeah, so okay. Yeah. So there's 2 things there. A long time ago when I was I've worked in a lot of different industries, but all generally related to video. I've always worked in video production, but in completely different industries. And what I realized a long time ago is you could put almost any image on the screen and people are going to give you the benefit of the doubt and try and bridge the gap as if you know what you're doing, right?
Yes, you're so right. Dude. Oh my God. So right. So many people can get away with things like that. Ugh.
Yeah. So a lot of times I'll put stuff up there that is vaguely connected, and sometimes I'll put stuff on the screen that isn't related just to see if I can get away with it. That's basically
well, you got 50,000.
But I'll tell you this:
50,000 subs, so clearly you can.
Yes. But let me tell you this: it's all, it feeds back on myself here, because a lot of times what I'll do is later I'll watch the video, and I know there's these sections where I was just slapping random old footage of monsters, and it fits, and it means to me that there's something when I was even doing it and I felt like it was random, that I actually knew what I was doing. So in the end, I'm confirming that I did know what I was doing, and it's not all just me just trying to get over on people. So I'm part of the loop, if that makes sense, right?
I will forever have the image of Greg Popovich as the guy from 50 Shades of Grey whipping Kawhi Leonard in my memory.
Oh man.
Well, I mean, but that's one of the more obvious ones. That one was like 1-to-1 in terms of a metaphor.
I know. That's just the most bizarre example I can give.
Yeah. People. What's funny is you do this type of stuff, and because I'm not great with, visual effects. I have a couple things that I can do okay, but with that stuff,
a couple of things.
Well, like some people are more precise. And
if you're not great, then
I can do a couple things. If you're not
great, then I'm dog shit.
Well, maybe. Who knows? Yeah, it depends on how much self-confidence. It depends on how much self-confidence you have. So, what I stare at these things, right, and I'm making this little frame with Kawhi Leonard getting whipped by Greg Popovich, and by the end of it, it just, I've spent so much time looking at it, it's nothing to me, right? So then if I put it up somewhere and people are reacting odd, I'm just like, what are you talking about? Like, this is normal. This makes perfect sense. And I'm already desensitized to it. So sometimes I forget. I forget that people are just seeing it for the first time and they have to go through their whole process. But at the same time, and I like this about Rusty, because part of his persona is that he doesn't understand anything, and that he...
Wait a minute, what?
He gets really offended or shocked by things initially.
He said, "Wait a minute, what? Did you hear him?" He just
you just made it sound like my persona is being dumb.
No, it's like double take. You know what a double take is, right?
So like I'll present something from like an opinion of someone, and they'll be like, "Dude, what the fuck?" So is that what you're saying?
Yeah, but I mean, and I know you can process things, and
like a human.
You can think deeply, like you do that all the time. But sometimes you're like, I don't know what this is, or what is this guy talking about? It's just it's like part of the it's part of the show. It's part of the process, the presentation. There's a moment of like disbelief, or I don't understand this. But I know
I've made an effort to like make myself more of a persona on my channel, especially with the face cam.
To be a persona on it. Well, let me say this about your channel. I really appreciate what you're doing with your whole set and stuff like that. Like, you're really leaning in to something which a lot of people aren't doing. So that's the kind of stuff that I enjoy, right? You got to keep that up. But when you're wearing, I hear you're wearing a lot of jean jackets or something. Is that like a thing you do?
You were the one.
He said he can't wait
You
to
were the
bring
one
back
who
the
made
jean
that
jacket.
a thing. I wore it like twice, and then you were like, "Okay, you're the jean jacket guy now."
Oh yeah.
That's my lucky jacket, man.
Good. So keep up with that. I like that. It's all a show. It's part of it is kind of sad, because you watch these professionals just screaming at each other, and everybody knows half of the stuff they say on television or whatever, the little clips that you see on YouTube it's a persona. Certain people who believe certain things, certain people are on TV just to say crazy, batshit crazy things.
Skip Bayless.
So yeah, exactly. And I believe at a certain time he was not that. But at a certain point, we all, I guess, decided we want to hear crazy stuff, and at the same time, act like we act like we believe they believe it.
You know, he's kind of. The whole like sports analysis personality thing. I'm seeing it happen with Max Kellerman, where he used to be, to me, the one reasonable man in the room, and then now he's like slowly just doing crazy takes because it's getting him more attention.
But then the question is, when does it kind of wrap around back on itself, or when does it just get so tired and it's all, it's like, when they jump the shark, that terminology, when they just go so far and we don't believe anything they say because we know it's all an act. When does it come back around to authentic discussion, and how does that happen?
I don't think it does.
Does it happen? Or does everybody just end up getting replaced? I mean, because I think there is genuine, authentic discussion on YouTube. I mean, honest, there's more thoughtful processing of the game and these people from you guys.
I think I might be a little biased here, but I do think NBA YouTube is great.
Like, when it comes to, like, just talking about the game and, expanding on conversation, I think, like, what we do, people in our realm or whatever, do a better job at doing that. And I think the people on TV maybe better, like, a reliable entertainment source. Yeah, it's more of a reliable entertainment source. That's what it is. Strictly entertainment.
I just no bias here at all.
I hate seeing somebody make a good point and then it just be disregarded as if, well, I've got to counter that point. Well, and it's the sad part is that we all have been trained by that, and it's so prevalent in, whether it's in the comment section of our videos or on Twitter, whatever it is. People, they've been trained by this behavior to be all or nothing and not really allow themselves to be convinced of anything or persuaded or actually to really listen to somebody else's opinion. I mean, the fact that somebody, of course we're all biased.
And
right?
that goes way past
fine.
Basketball too.
Sure. Well, absolutely. That's 100% true. We are very rigid at this point in society. And it's like, if we were all this sounds stupid, but I know, and it's really cliche, but like if we were all sitting in the same room, it would be completely different, right? But there's got to be a way, and I feel like there are those bright spots. There definitely are those bright spots where people are having decent conversations, and I mean, just specifically on sports. Whenever I run across somebody say, "Oh, okay," or "Oh, I didn't see it that way," like that's it. I love that. I'll hit the like button, then unlike it and like it again, just because I appreciate that little moment.
All right, well,
but anyway,
we're 30 minutes into this, and we've only got 2 questions.
2 questions.
Okay, so I'm.
That's Emio for you, dude. That's Emio for you right there. So listen, this is my second time interviewing Emio. The first time I interviewed him, no one knows this. The first time I still have that interview saved onto my laptop. By the way, Emio, that footage is almost a year old now.
Did it get used for anything?
Yeah, it got used for my project.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I aced it, by the way, too.
Oh, hey, all right.
Yeah, thank you, by the way. A year late, but thank you. So just almost a year ago, it was October 2018. My teacher, my college professor, she wanted me to interview someone in my profession, whatever, and like, she wanted me to interview someone who does what I want to do one day. And I was like, well, I do YouTube, and I'm kind of doing it already, but since I don't talk to anyone, and like the only type of interaction I've had with somebody who does the same thing that I do at the time was Emio, and I hit him up on Twitter, and he actually responded. And when he did, we set up a date or whatever, and I just asked him a whole bunch of questions. Really, I think I asked you like maybe 5 of the most important questions, and then like you answered like all those questions, but then you flooded on to a whole bunch of other questions, and really. Yeah, you did a good job of that. So I feel like we're not gonna get off so many questions because you just like you start at one point and then you tackle so many other points too.
I did this
in one go.
I did this thing on Patreon recently where I said I was gonna answer as many questions as possible, but I was only gonna allow myself 27 seconds for each answer. because there was no way I was going to get through the questions if I didn't have a limit. And I enjoyed that. That was a lot of fun. I don't think I answered anything, but at the same time, I need a limit. Like, somebody's got to... Like, a long time ago, there was an iteration of a podcast that probably will never exist that may or may not have involved one of these people on this podcast here. And I was going to propose that there was a hard limit for every answer that I would give, because there's no way we could just get through a lot of topics. So anyway, if you want to put some time limits to make this more fun,
that's cool.
I have a less
like
introspective question for the next one. So what happened to the one film every month of the year?
Oh, here's thank you for asking that question. It's everything will be done in time, but I realize that time is not it's not my constraint. So I don't have to put a time limit on myself to accomplish something that's going to take more time than I gave myself.
So that's why it was so hard to get in touch with you. Okay.
I'm going to, instead of put something out based on a time limit, I'm actually going to take as much time as I need, which means this is probably going to take years. But there's a lot more things that are going to happen in between then and now and then.
I can't.
But I still have my goal.
I can't.
I still have my goal. And honestly, sometimes you just got to set goals that don't make a lot of sense just to get you to do, one thing. You got to throw something. You got to throw it away. You got to really reach far, just to motivate yourself to get started on something.
Well, look at my pinned tweet for an example of that. I said I'd get to 150K by the end of this year. Unless something crazy happens, that's not happening.
Listen, that's how that works, though. It really does. I mean, I feel like there's really no way to game from our standpoint. Just making videos, unless you have some machine behind you. I don't know how you game the system anymore, other than just getting lucky.
Pretty much it.
Because I look at people's, yours, everybody's their videos, and the type of views people get, and it's crazy. You'll put something out and it has 5,000 views, and then the next one has 500,000, and then the next one goes back to 10K. I don't necessarily understand it, but I know for a fact I've never had a video go over 200,000 views. I feel like there's some sort of
I think I've had 5 do that.
Like some sort of shadow cap on top of it. Like nothing ever. But I look at other channels, smaller channels, and sometimes they just have one video that just took off, and you just wonder why. Why is it doing that, right? So all you can ever do from your perspective, I think, is just be consistent. I think you've proven that yourself. Is just be consistent, and it works for you, And I think more than anything, it's just about having like an audience that is looking for you to show up.
Yeah.
Other than that, I don't know how there's like unless you got somebody working on the inside, how do you game the system? How do you make it work? I don't care how many videos I watch about, getting more views.
I'm about to say something.
Just keep on shooting until you hit.
Basically.
Shooting half.
I'm about to say something really long and you guys aren't going to hear it, but whatever.
Do it for the tape.
So, in my experience, when I was really trying to start YouTube, I spent an entire summer uploading every single day, and the only video that did well happened on the last day. And having grown up watching YouTube, I thought that I would have a huge advantage for knowing what people want, how to make thumbnails and good titles and things like that. And I still think I do have an advantage in that area, but it really is, even if you're like the most smart individual with how YouTube works, there's still so much of a luck factor to it. And it's unavoidable.
All right, so on to my question. So I think we just touched on to a, not a serious topic, but some a sort of generic question that we just
Okay.
touched on.
Shots
So
fired.
I think it's time for me to do my thing and shake things up. So, all right, Mr. Emio, I want you to listen up.
Word.
So, you're on a mission, okay? I don't understand why you chose to do this mission. This is just a hypothetical, okay? So you're on a mission to rob a bank, and you have three NBA players to take with you. Who are they going to be? Now, okay, before you give your answer, let me just
Gilbert Arenas
on game, okay? And let me give you my strategy. No throwback players. Players who are playing today, by the way, because throwback players are too easy. So here are my three players right now. I have the aggressor. The aggressor is Patrick Beverly. He has black Air Forces, and he is up to no good at all times. You always need that one aggressive dog. You always need that one aggressive dog, and that's Patrick Beverly. My second player is Draymond Green. He is the voice. He is the man with the plan. He's a knife, okay? He's a Swiss Army knife. And the third guy that I'm taking with me is the calm voice, the calm, cool, collected guy. It's Lonzo Ball. Can't get no better than that. I'm robbing every bank, and I'm pulling in racks like that. I'm getting away scot-free too. I want Rusty's answer after your answer, Emio.
Well, first of all, that's a horrible combination of people.
Is it? Dude, I think I'm clean. I think I'm really...
What do you think, Patrick? You're gonna get caught every time with Patrick Beverly out there.
Yeah, I need someone to really put the attendants or the cashiers or whatever, everybody in the bank on notice. Like, I'm letting them know that this is no joke. I really want your money. I'm up to no good.
He would put on a show and get recognized the second time. The second time you walk into a bank, like, there's that guy. That's the guy right there. The guy jumping around, slapping the floor. Yeah, that's him right there.
So true.
but he's gonna be flashing his gun and stuff like that, and he's gonna let people know that, yo, for real, he's gonna put fear into their hearts, you know? Right. And that's what I need. He's the aggressor.
You don't need fear in a bank robbery. You need to blend in, and you need
to make sure nobody tries to try anything.
So who's the perfect player for you guys then?
Okay, so I got to figure out a third.
I don't think about robbing banks often.
Well, you should.
I don't either. I don't either. Let's just say something happened though, bro. In one
they
level,
all need to be white players so they get away with it. No, that's
oh my god.
That's way too real.
See no, it's I'm telling you, you're talking about robbing banks. This is strategy, right? What kind of robbing the banks?
I think I go with like the most basic looking human beings. Nobody with any distinct features.
Who you pulling up with? Pat Connaughton?
Maybe. I'm going to tell him to shave that stupid ass goatee, but other than that.
I got you. Pat Connaughton, Kevin Huerter, and I got you with...
Now, Kevin Huerter's a redhead. That stands out too much.
Yeah, he does. That does stand out. That does stand out.
And the thing is, if you're going NBA players, you probably want the shorter guys so they don't stand out. Like, Emio remembers this. Like, you know that Team USA documentary with John Stockton? And
Absolutely.
He was like, oh, yeah, yes. I blend in. You got to get some guys like that. Some people ain't going to recognize. Nobody's going to fucking recognize John Stockton if he's robbing a bank.
All right, so you want Tyler Jerome. He's a rookie. He's like, what, 6'1 or 6'2, something like that. The dude on the Suns.
Sure. I don't fucking know. I don't know who that is.
All right, who else you got on your squad? I'm going for strategy, though, dude. Like, I want money, dude. Like, you guys are... I think you guys are thinking too hard.
I think you're thinking too hard. I think you care about... I think you're actually trying to do this.
I know, right?
I do got my black forces on right now, and you never know. I may be up to no good.
But let me say, who hasn't thought about robbing a bank? For real, Rusty,
my favorite
movie
of all time is Baby Driver, so of course I've thought about it.
All right, good. It's just you walk into. I mean, but who's been to a bank recently?
Yeah, anytime I go to my bank, I'm going through the drive-through.
The last time I went into a bank was actually last month, but this was like my first or second time, maybe third time going in there. No, I wasn't. Never.
So I'm gonna take George Hill is one of my guys because
he's real nice.
Mm-hmm. Well, his facial expression has never changed ever.
Yeah, that's why like he's.
That's true. He always looks. He always looks like he just shit his pants just a little bit, and he doesn't. He doesn't want to do anything about it.
Like no matter what, it's the same face. So he'd just be he. That's the kind of guy you need. He's unflappable, right?
He's
Also
unfazed at all times.
Unfazed, right?
And even though he has a bunch of tattoos, none of them are like that distinct.
Of course, Steph Curry. He's on my team.
Why him? Why?
Steph, that's why.
He has nothing to do with this. Why Curry? You must want to get caught.
It's the. Well,
you must want to do time in the cellar, man.
Well, I mean, the other part of it is simply, are these people famous? Like, do they?
No, I think
really be
they
walking
have
in with
masks
Steph
on.
Curry?
They have mask on.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, so just okay. All right. Well,
So take the fame factor out of this.
let me think of my third
Patrick Beverly
one.
and Draymond Green would get hyped and rip their mask off like some dumbasses.
You picked a horrible team, man.
No, I do. I really think I have the most efficient team on here right now. To be honest, you guys are lacking. I have bodies. You guys don't.
Do you really believe in Patrick Beverly?
I'm robbing a bank with Alex Caruso. I don't give a fuck.
He said Alex Caruso. Oh my god. Alex Caruso. Oh my gosh. Oh man, that's a good one. That's a good one, man.
But really, about Patrick Beverly, does anybody buy it that he's really that good? Not about robbing banks, but just basketball.
Basketball, yeah. I think he's that good because not because of his like on court, like his skill and stuff like that. No one. Thinks
I think he's good because
like
he buys into his own idea of what his mentality is.
Exactly. That heart that he has is like it's no other. You really can't compare it. What?
I mean, he's branded himself.
Yeah, I feel like he's just playing a character. I don't think he's actually that.
Well, he's playing it damn well.
Yeah.
He's bought into his own character. Like he really is. I saw something. It was what's Kevin Garnett's little show he does? Area 59 or what is it?
51. He's 59.
Yeah. No, that's that show he does. Area 21, right?
Oh, with Kevin Garnett.
Kevin
Garnett.
Yeah, Kevin Garnett. And Patrick Beverly was talking to him. They're doing an interview, and Patrick Beverly was saying how he's always looked up to Kevin Garnett.
Yeah, that's true.
And it made perfect sense to me because Kevin Garnett is a character who buys into his own character more than anybody else. And it's to the point where it's not fraudulent. It seems fake. People call Kevin Garnett fake tough, all this stuff. But he believes it so much that it becomes true, So for Patrick Beverly to look up to him makes perfect sense. It's like if you thought you were, I don't know, like you really thought that you were somebody else to the point where you actually convinced yourself of it. Like that's a mental trick that it takes a lot of talent to do that, or a lot of delusion to do that.
Can I do that until I become attractive?
Until you become what?
Can I like dilute myself into so far that I can actually believe I'm a healthy and in shape person? Because that'd be great.
That you're healthy and that you're attractive. I got you on that. I got you.
Man, I wish we would have heard that. You would have had a much better reaction. I was waiting for that. Yeah. That's good. I'm telling you, there's a mental capacity. There's this thing that I talked to my wife about. They're called bubble people, right? They're people who create such a delusion around themselves about who they are that you just cannot enter that. You can't break it. You can't break their reality, even if it's true or not. There's this one girl, I guess it was a girl, a long time ago when I was first got into production. I was working at a little TV news station. It wasn't that long ago. I'm acting like it was ages ago. But anyway, she was horrible at her job.
I claim it as a person.
She was, but she believed that she deserved to be on network television, right? And she was constantly bothered people, constantly interrupted and walked into meetings and always asserted herself and put her in situations where she would have to be taken seriously, right? And it looked like confidence, and it eventually got her a job by just being persistent and telling people that she was good and putting her in situations where she seemed like she should have been good. And eventually it fed back on itself, and she actually got herself a job and then moved up into a higher market. And she's still doing quite well for herself. She's still not that great, but she never believed other people that she wasn't good. I'm not even sure if I'm explaining this properly, but she's never been good at her job. But she convinced everybody else that she was. And it's some crazy mind trick
Clearly
stuff.
not
And that's
you.
the kind of stuff that Patrick Beverly does.
Yeah.
He's built this reality that he's this dog and that he is a defensive, I don't know, specialist. But I mean, is it true? Is it? What success has he brought? Like, what has he done that's been outstanding in any particular season or moment or play? I mean, what is his highlight reel other than getting people's faces and agitating people?
That's it. That's exactly it.
He's a role player. It's not like you need him to be Steph.
Yeah, he's not supposed to be like. He's not. I don't think anybody like him is supposed to be expected to be like, have super top key moments. He's just a side piece. That's all he really is. But he's a nice one. He's
like.
You called the people man. Think more of him when they brought him to the Clippers. I remember seeing some stuff. They treat people like him as if they're the missing piece. And maybe that's just a thing that happens off season.
It's like a glue.
Really
it's like a glue guy thing.
A glue guy. Yeah, that's a good one. Whatever that. I mean, what is a glue guy supposed to do?
I mean, it's someone who
brings everything together.
His impact is bigger than his talent, basically.
Than the stats say. His impact is bigger than the stats say. So I basically have three glue guys that I have with me pulling up to the bank. And that's Lonzo, Draymond, and
Draymond is...
Oh, Lonzo. Lonzo's my third, by the way.
Draymond is considered a glue guy. He kind of like pulls everything together.
Yeah. He's considered maybe today the best glue guy in the NBA today.
But I see that in plays. I see him calling things out. I see him on the sideline.
Beverly does that a good amount.
Him...
He's a good, at least on defense, he does.
Does he?
Yeah, he does.
And people take him seriously. Like I don't have a memory of these moments, where they're cutting to Patrick Beverly on the sideline in a big game and he's talking to the team. He's in so and so's face or whatever. In Houston or in LA, whatever it is. I don't have those memories of those moments, and I don't know why he's getting this storied credit, and I don't have the moments to back it up. Sure, I'm talking about moments and not necessarily stat lines, but his whole basis, what in both of you said it, he has an impact bigger than what'd you say?
The stats say.
Which is just a phrase that we like to say, right? They just insert these phrases, and we spit them back at these people. I really don't buy anything about Patrick Beverly other than him being able to put on a show at the right moment. I mean, when he was like all in Lonzo Ball's face, his rookie year, we all were
that was corny. That was corny.
It was what?
Corny.
Oh, so corny. And that's what I felt like we were all gonna have that moment where we realized, like Patrick Beverly. It's like when what's the guy? Tony Allen? Was he the grind father, right?
That's a terrible nickname. What the fuck?
It's true, though. It's true. The grind father.
It's like when the Warriors played them a few years back. I think it was the playoffs. And they just decided to not guard him at all. They just didn't play him anywhere close to him. And it just realized...
Well, that's because I have a better jump shot than Tony Allen.
But why is that... But did people just not just realize it?
No, it's just because it's the playoffs, and they're more likely to leave a guy open in the playoffs, especially if they suck ass at shooting.
Well, right, but he's always been a bad shooter.
Yeah.
So how does he thrive in the league for so long?
Defense.
I mean, he was that guy who was talking about like what wasn't he like? in a game talking about all defensive team,
that was
first
him.
team, all.
Yeah, all first.
I mean,
team
Kobe
defense.
said that Tony Allen was the
First
toughest
team.
defender he ever went against. So I mean, it's not like
Jesus. Can we talk about something? I got to talk about something. You mentioned that Kobe J. Bryant, said that Tony Allen.
Don't believe
Jay?
it's Jay.
Jay.
Jay in his name?
Everybody is Jay. Everybody's middle name is Jeffrey.
Oh. Dude, my middle name is Jay. That's crazy.
Is it? Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, I swear.
So he said that Tony Allen is like the toughest guy who's guarded him or something like that. Something mess like that. So that's great, right? And we can all hang our hat on what Kobe said, I guess. But good Jesus, if I don't hear somebody else tell me how Gary Payton said that John Stockton was the hardest person to guard again, then the man's entire career is based on this one quote by Gary Payton. If I ever get deep enough in a discussion about John Stockton, it is guaranteed this one quote from Gary Payton will be brought up, where he says he was the toughest guy to guard. And you know what? I'm so sick of it.
Wait, he said that about John Stockton?
Yes.
What? In what world is John Stockton the toughest to guard? I could guard John Stockton. No, that's not true.
This is what I'm saying.
Yeah, you could.
But it's inevitable.
Yeah,
and,
slow down.
And a lot of people have brought the John Stockton debate to me. They just bring it up cause.
Make him go left. There you go.
You're the guy. You're the one who really put him on the spotlight.
But they bring this quote up, and I think about it sometimes. If they didn't have that, it would end, right? Then I would probably have the last point. I would make my point. They might reject it, but it always goes to Gary Payton.
This is a point of pettiness for you.
Absolutely, because what they're doing is that they're saying it's beyond. This discussion is beyond you and me, because Gary Payton said so, right? Because everything Gary Payton says is the word. It is direct.
Well, I do. Because
Go
he actually played him. So, I mean, I do understand why people believe it, look at it that way.
But it's context, right? People say a lot of nice things about people. And when you're trying to prop up your own era and you're trying to validate your own greatness, it's convenient to say how somebody like John Stockton, somebody who beat him enough times, was so great, right? As opposed to saying something else that actually, it wasn't that difficult.
You know what I find funny, and you might think about this as well.
What?
Like during a game when a team is playing a team, like the fans of that team will shit talk the opposing team, and then when they lose, they'll be like, "Oh, they were so good." But during the game, they're like, "Oh, they're so fucking trash." And it's like, can you decide which one it is? Because it seems like you're just picking whichever one fits your narrative.
No, yeah, you're just making the argument that it is currently convenient. Either that team, right? They're a joke. They suck until you lose to them, and then you're like, yeah, they were good. No, I get that, and that's what I think. That's honestly it happens every time, right? Years go by, and then everybody's like, "Oh, everybody was so great."
I think it happens with Steph a lot. Like in game, when the games are happening, people are like, "Man, Steph is fucking trash," and the Warriors inevitably beat them, and they're like, "Damn, we couldn't beat them. They have Steph Curry."
I mean, I think that's his entire legacy is going to be built like that. I think I said something about this recently on some forum. That whole thing about Steph Curry not getting any votes as the rookie's favorite player. You guys?
Oh yeah, that's crazy.
I mean, is
I
it?
don't understand how. I love Steph. He's one of my favorite players in the league.
If you were, a 6'8" rookie coming into the league, are you looking up to Steph Curry?
There's yeah, I think if I'm a 6'8" rookie, no, I mean I kind of take that back because out of this past year's draft class, there's not a lot of point guards here who have super similar games to Curry or
It's pretty much just Darius Garland.
Yeah, that's pretty much just Darius Garland, who's like a shooter, an elite shooter. Other than that, there's no real other guards who like who base their game or like try to be even a hint of Curry or anything like that. I mean, so it's not that crazy.
To me,
but
greatness
still,
is greatness.
Damn, like not one vote.
Greatness is greatness to me. Like I can look up to a player who's 6'7" while being 6'3". I don't think that has to matter.
Yeah, he doesn't have to be your favorite. You don't have to be like his prototype for him to be your favorite. Like, for example, the big ass dude Jackson Hayes. His favorite player is LeBron, and he's a center. He literally plays nothing like LeBron. He's way taller than LeBron, way slimmer than LeBron. So it's still like dang, like where's the respect that kind of?
But there's still more similarities there between those two players than any of these rookies in Steph. It really is. There's a lot of things that are just so basic and primal. It's about power, it's about dunking, it's about aggressiveness, and I'm telling you, there's something that's built into all of us, even all of us, legitimately. At some point, maybe until very recently, we looked at Steph and were like, I could beat him. I could box him out. There's something about like you just from a man to man. Like, I could take this guy.
I could take him on.
Yeah. And that's built into you until it's just beaten out of you year after year. And it's something you have to reflect on to actually admire and be like, oh, okay, yeah. History has proven that this is true greatness, and I couldn't do it. But, I mean, I think it's also a reason that people like Isaiah Thomas don't have such a powerful fan base or legacy or something. I mean, that guy should be 10 times more relevant or beloved. I don't know. I mean,
that guy's
problems,
got an ego on him.
Yeah, was that?
I said that guy's got an ego on him for sure.
What?
What Isaiah Thomas are you guys talking about? Like the new Isaiah Thomas or the old one?
Oh, the old one. The original.
I was talking about the current one.
Original recipe.
yeah, we're talking about the old one. That's what I was thinking about. All right,
okay, I got a question.
Yeah.
This one's interesting. And I proposed this to you a long time ago for I think a podcast discussion because for those listening at home don't know, me and Emio were almost going to have a podcast.
That's a lie.
But that's a lie?
The liar. You're a liar, Rusty.
I am?
See,
I thought it.
See,
I have screenshots right
see,
here.
there he goes. Yeah, I know. No. I'm not gonna. No, that's not even fair. I'm not gonna call you a liar. No, even as a joke, that's not civil. Okay, go ahead.
Anyways, the question is, when a game-deciding moment is happening in the play, or this is a hypothetical. There's a game-deciding moment happening. It's in the playoffs, and it's the Warriors. If there is a 70% chance that a boring open layup by a role player can happen and win the game, or a 30% chance of an all-time great game winner by Steph Curry, which one would you rather happen? And let's say this is in a Game 7, so...
For all the marbles.
70% chance Kevon Looney makes a layup and wins the game, or 30% chance Curry hits one of the best game winners of all time. Which one do you choose?
What do I want to risk it all? Like, which one do I want? Which one?
Yeah, you want Curry to have that one moment that a lot of people like suppose that he's never had before, or you guys just secure the bag and like don't take no risk and get the easy one with a quote unquote role player saving his career or like saving that moment from him again.
Jeez, you're really stacking on the narratives there, the all baked in narratives. Like, because he's never had one of those moments before, or like a role player, bailing him out again.
I wasn't even thinking about that part of it.
That's the
Jesus.
most popular thing he's just.
I'm basically saying, do you want a game winner that no one remembers outside of a week from now, or a game winner that is iconic from your favorite player?
See, the thing is, the Kevon Looney one,
chances are different.
It still feeds into. It could easily feed into the Steph narrative, our defensive narrative of him, which is not defensive, but people being defensive of his legacy, where he created so much space that's the only reason that a role player could get a shot off. So we can still, in some sort of backhanded way, give him credit for it.
You're trying to shape this in your way.
But what I'm saying, there's reality here. Reality here is that making that argument takes too many words. So
yeah, no one's gonna really buy into that. Not many.
No, because it literally just takes too many words. The best arguments are the shortest arguments in sports. So it's got I got to risk it all on the 30%, 40-footer off of one leg. Yeah,
I don't know. That's a tough one to call.
You got to do it.
I think now with Curry already cementing his legacy to an extent, and the Warriors having won championships, you know what that's like. I don't fucking know what that's like. If this is my Bulls, like in the finals, I'm taking the 70%. I don't give a fuck about an iconic moment. But but I think with the Warriors, you have that more unique perspective, I guess.
And there's no way to deny it. As much as somebody can pull up and frame a book of stats about how Steph has had great moments in the clutch, and I mean, sure, we can just talk about the Western Conference Finals and the argument can be done, but we're talking about the finals because that's all that people care about for this particular 8 or 9 year stretch here of discussion. So yeah, there's something in me. Of course, I just want him to do one of those things. I just want him to make one, even though that probably wouldn't satisfy anybody, and it's not going to actually make people shut up about him not being clutch.
Nothing will make people shut up.
But it's enough to goat me into saying something like, yeah, shoot it. 30% chance. Yes. Whoever that is under the basket, do not pass it to them. Shoot it.
You did make an entire video dedicated to Steph's non-shot in the finals.
Yeah. Well, yes. I mean, that would have been a good shot, though. He pulled up. Anyway, you can link for this portion of the video or the podcast, you can supply a link to that particular video about Steph Curry and the moment I really think that he doubted himself.
This man's trying to make me
finals.
Promote him.
Yeah. Game 7 where
got switched on to K-Love.
The defense. Does anybody call it the defense? How do they
Here's what I think went through Steph Curry's mind in that moment. I think the reason he doubted himself was from the Charles Barkleys of the world that still viewed that as a bad shot. And I think Steph was confident in that shot, but he was like, this is Game 7 of the finals. There's only a certain amount of time left. I have to take a legit shot. I think he viewed that shot still as a gimmick. And he wasn't trying to take a gimmicky shot in that big of a moment. And I think if he missed it, I guess he just had that going through his head where he's like, if I miss this, everything that people are saying about me will be right.
So I would think that would technically qualify as like a choke, like an actual choking moment. I think people say the word choke way too often, and I agree. I think missing doesn't mean, if you miss, it doesn't mean you choked. I don't think that. I think the fact that you take the shot, it puts you in a completely different category. You may not be good at making the shot, but you don't choke if you're actually taking that big shot.
I think choking is like being completely out of character.
Yes.
So
like
that
Tragic Johnson in the finals.
Yes.
Tragic Johnson or like airballing a game winner, like that's when you're gonna be like, yeah, you choked.
And you're talking about? Are you talking about the time where Magic just ran the clock out and didn't even shoot?
Yeah.
That was weird. It's like very uncharacteristic, and it's you forget.
That's a choke. That's by definition, might as well.
But that's what I'm saying. I'm thinking that is an actual moment. If what you laid out is even remotely part of his thought process, then it is. It's
a moment of doubt, and it fucked him up, and it made him take a worse shot ultimately.
And there it is, an actual Steph Curry choking in the finals moment that I've deny but accept at the same time.
Did that hurt to admit?
Oh, I mean, yeah, it does, but because I feel like whether people listen to this or actually process that from the video that I made about it, they won't. People don't like to acknowledge that you are able to accept these things. They just like to throw it back in your face, right? So if I make some argument about Steph Curry, they'd be like, "Well, but you said he choked." So, but yeah, if I'm going to be honest about this stuff, and that's all I ever want to be.
That is so true. Oh my God, is that true? Because of the frequency of the videos that I make, I'll say something and then like 3 months later I change my mind, and it'll be like, "But you said this then."
Oh.
I'm like, well, fucking people change their minds on shit, but that's kind of different, but still. Anyways, Mojo, you can do your question now.
Hit it.
All right. Yeah, it's funny that you guys say that because I was editing this whole day. I was editing a video, and I said a couple of things that I regret that I said now, and I changed my opinion. But all right. So here's my next question. Do you have a young player in the NBA that you like watching, or like do you like look out for their highlights or whatever whenever you see them pop up on your timeline when you actually watch? Like for example, just to throw out a few young player names: Trae Young, John Collins, Kevin Huerter. Just
Zach LaVine, Lowry Markkanen, Wendell Carter Jr.
Young players. Poor Zach LaVine.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Wait, did you say you chose Zach LaVine? I might have heard you.
No, I said poor Zach LaVine.
What's wrong with Zach LaVine? Why poor?
I feel like he's that's it. Like it's all done. Like we've seen it. Like he came. That's it. There's nothing more.
He's good, but like.
All right, so that's the end of the HoopsCast, everybody. Don't subscribe to the Storyteller. His channel sucks. We don't need to talk about that. And peace.
I mean, does he have more potential? Potential. I don't even want to talk about potential.
No Levine slander.
Potential.
Period.
What is potential? How long can you have potential?
That would be. I would love if you made a film on that. That would be great.
I mean, people. And the other one is like when people hear, they're always like, he's only 22 or whatever like that. Oh, he's still only.
Jason Tatum only 19 until the age of 45.
He's only Devin Booker's only whatever it is.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think they say that so they're like, yeah, he's this good at 22, and most players don't hit their peak until like 27, so clearly he has room to grow.
But has that ever worked out for somebody?
Yeah, I mean...
Name a player who, for beginning of their career, it was all about...
I think that's a rough average estimate. Everyone has a different path. I don't think anyone follows it entirely perfectly.
No, I'm gonna go on a limb here.
Some guys peak early, some guys take a while, and then like the average is in the middle, I guess.
Well, sure, yeah, that's just.
Some guys are Andrew Wiggins, and then they suck after 3 years.
But how old is Andrew Wiggins? Is he 30 yet?
He's like 23.
Like 24, something like that.
24, 23.
Okay, and I don't know if this even makes. I'm trying to make this clear. If you've spent a portion of your career being he's only so and such and such age, I don't think that's ever really worked out for a long-term successful career. I feel like these young guys who end up being very good or have really successful careers break through early in some respect. Either they drag their team to the playoffs.
I am sure
prematurely.
I'm sure at some point in his career, I'm sure you could find a clip where Steph Curry pulls up from 30 feet and one of the commentators say, and he's only 23.
No, I doubt that. 100%. I don't think that does not exist.
I'm sure it exists.
I just checked.
It does.
It doesn't exist.
I will watch I'll watch every game when he was young. I will do it when he's wearing those throwback jerseys. I'll do it.
I mean, he spent 3 years in college, right? How many? He was not young when he came in the league.
So he came into the league like 22, yeah.
So he was already past he's only whatever at 22 stage.
I'm certain it exists.
Peak of that stage, I feel like.
I'm certain it exists.
I'm telling you, man. If you are he's only 22. Or under 22 guy for at least 3 years, then you had no success in the rest of your career. Bet. Research it. Anybody who's listening to this. I'm telling you.
I mean, what about Giannis? I mean, like when he...
Okay, I am certain there's a clip of LeBron James saying he's only 20. I'm certain that exists.
Well,
I'm 100%.
But he had. I'm telling. But he got to a point of success with his team, still early, still young. I'm saying these young players, you're still only 22 for a certain amount of time. This is an excuse for not getting somewhere early in your career. LeBron got somewhere early in his career still.
I don't think maybe some people use it as an excuse, but I think most people do that as a way to highlight potential, whatever that means.
Especially since they say still, like he's still, they're still under, it's starting to feel
There
like
are
cover.
people, yeah, there definitely are people that use it as an excuse where like a guy's like not that good yet, but then they're like, yeah, but he's only 20, he's got room to grow. I do think people say that, but like when people are talking about like star players like Devin Booker or a guy that's gonna be a star like Jason Tatum, they're saying that because they're trying to highlight their potential. Like, think about how good this dude is at 19. Imagine how good he'll be at 27.
I fundamentally disagree, but
all right.
There goes my question. F in the chat for my question, I guess.
What was your question again? Young players.
Like if you have like three young players or whatever, or a young player that you like, you enjoy watching play basketball, or like hear talking.
Absolutely not. None. Zero. I don't even watch basketball.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Okay.
Well, like,
No, I honestly wish I enjoyed watching Trae Young. That's the gentleman's name, right? The lad.
Yes, sir.
I wish I enjoyed watching him play. I resent him, actually, because he's the type of guy who, and we've talked about this. You and me talked about this, I feel like.
He says that his game is inspired by Steve Nash, and it's fucking not. I think you mentioned that.
This kid says that he was inspired by Steve Nash. That's
okay. Yeah.
That is
who.
We
talked about this before.
That's who.
It's obviously Steph.
It's clearly Steph.
Obviously Steph.
It's clearly Steph, and he denies it.
A lot of these young players do the exact same thing. It's like, dude, like I'm the same age as you. I'm damn near the same age as you. And like when I was like 10, I couldn't really like articulate these Steve Nash, Jason Kidd, and all this stuff. So that's like clearly cap. You watch Chris Paul and like guys like that. Steph Curry growing up. So I feel you on that. But I mean, like, I see what you mean.
And here's the other reason why Steph Curry doesn't get any votes is because, number one, people who are bigger than him, just in this world of competition, professional sports, they have to have that built into them that they can just destroy this person, right? And the other side of it is if there are smaller players or players who do have games similar to him, there's like a tenacity or an aggression in them that has gotten them this far in this league where they are undersized that's not going to let them say that they look up to him either. There's like a dog in them that says they can beat anybody. So they're not going to be looking up to somebody who's their same size or has a similar game because they're constantly trying to define their own self and not be compared to them. So it's like there's all this internal rejection happening around Steph or denial that'll all resolve itself in 25 years when everybody writes their memoir and talks about how it really was Steph's league and he was the greatest and all this crap. But for now, the pure disrespect, it's like built in to just the fact that these are professional athletes, and it would be. I already don't like this idea. I don't want to hear who they look up to. I mean, I don't like the people.
When you say that, see, I understand why Trae Young said what he said though, and it's not a deny. I don't know that it's necessarily a denial of liking Steph Curry. I think he's just trying to separate himself from that comparison.
Yeah, that's like exactly what I just said, but in a lot more words. So thank you.
Basically, because I understand why he would want to do that. Because if he says his Steph was his inspiration, now people are talking about him and Steph all the time, which they still do. But even more so if he says that. I mean, and then now he has the pressure to be the next fucking Steph Curry, and I don't think you don't want that pressure unless you do, but I wouldn't.
It's like Kobe, right? He
and
constantly
also
denied being.
Yeah. It's like with Kobe, like he says his favorite player growing up was Kareem or whatever. Like, no, it's not. It wasn't.
Cap. Yeah.
It
Like,
was.
what?
It wasn't fucking. It wasn't fucking Kareem. It was Michael Jordan. Shut the hell up. But they're trying to get away from that comparison. So, like you said, I used to practice sky hooks. No, you fucking didn't, Kobe. Come on. You're doing those fadeaways, those pull-up mid-range shots. Yeah. I think he said Magic Johnson too, but like by the time Magic was in the league, he was like a teenager. So I don't know. I got a challenge for you. Let's do a question where we don't go for 20 minutes. All right? Can we pull that off?
All right, let's do it.
Okay. And this is actually a pretty broad question, so it probably will still go there. How much of the NBA do you think is a narrative controlled by those in power?
55%.
All right, next. Go for question, Mojo.
You're trying to get this thing rolling. All right, I'm just picking out my best questions as of now. All right.
I'm happy to do a 2-hour podcast and break it up if you guys don't care, but if you got anywhere to
listen, I'm here.
And that's what we're going to do. Part 2 of this interview with Emio will be up next weekend. So, yeah. Bye.